Second slide. Second slide.
No, sir. It is only the first slide.
No, that's what I'm saying. That was not moving.
Yes,
That's
sir.
That's why I went to that. I went and closed it and I again joined. I think there is some problem there. This is the problem I have. Okay, let me see. Made me the presenter, right?
Yes, sir. You are the presenter. Sir, you can stop sharing and start sharing again. We can check that.
Cancel. Okay. Again, share content.
Yes, sir. Now the slides are moving.
Moving? Okay. Good.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, it's moving. Moving now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine, good. See? Okay, this is moving now. Are you seeing me?
Yes, sir. I can see the slides.
Okay. Let me see. Okay, it's moving now, right?
Yes, sir. It's moving now.
Let me see whether my video is on. It's not going.
A very warm welcome to all the participants who have just joined us for today's webinar on Cyber Assurance Key to Sustainability for 21st Century Organizations. Our speaker for today's webinar, Professor K. Subramaniam, IEEE Ambassador and Area Coordinator, IEEE CSGAC, has already joined us. And as per schedule, we shall be starting with today's webinar sharp at 6 p.m. within a few minutes from now. I welcome all the participants who have joined us for today's webinar. And dear participants, I request you, just like our previous webinars, the chat window shall be an important mechanism we shall be communicating through in this webinar. So please ensure whatever device you are using for attending this webinar today, you should be able to access the chat window on the same. The chat window appears as a small bubble icon in your device. So please click on it, write down your name, affiliation, etc. in it so that you can check that you can access the chat window on the same. We shall be sharing a feedback link for the certificate of participation generation at the end of this session in the chat window with all our participants. So kindly ensure whatever device you are connected with through, you can access the chat window on the same. Yes, dear participant, because you have joined in the attendee mode, you will not be able to see your other participants, but we can see all the participants and we warmly welcome all the participants to today's webinar. Our expert for today's session, Professor K. Subramaniam, IEEE Ambassador and Area Coordinator, IEEE India, CSGAC, has already joined us. So as on schedule, we shall be starting with the webinar in a few minutes from now. Dear participants, all of you have joined in the attendee mode. So attendee mode, you will not be able to unmute yourself. Whatever questions, etc. you have from your speaker for today's session, you can keep writing in the chat window. Good evening, Subrata sir. Welcome to the webinar. Sir is on mute, I suppose. Good evening, Subrata sir. Welcome to the webinar.
Yes, I'm there. Oh, I didn't see.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
What is this red color? Insurance.
Sir, actually the
chapter?
slides have a red background.
Oh,
So, dear participants, a very warm welcome to all the participants who have just joined us for today's webinar on another important topic of the present time, cyber assurance, which is the key to sustainability for 21st century organizations. Our expert for today's session, Professor K. Subramaniam, IEEE Ambassador and IEEE GSE CS India Area Coordinator, is already with us for today's session. So within a few minutes from now, we shall be starting with today's session.
I think there is already a request for changing the color and background.
I
don't know.
think the background color only.
Good evening, Subrata sir.
Good evening.
Changing at this moment of time may become little problematic because I could see many texts are in white. So the moment we change it to white, it will take another shape. So I think we will have to bear with it. More important is what he talks. The talk of the speaker is more important. Yes.
Or
in
we can
future-
advise the audience, spectator, whoever is there to put a goggles on the eyes.
Correct.
It's very harsh.
Hey, this gives a, I don't know whether it is a repulsive or something like that. लग रहा आग जल गया लगता है उसके पीछे. मेरी सुनते सुनते किसी ने यही बना दिया मुझे लग रहा है. ताकि आप चाहे तो तब भी सो नहीं सकते हो.
Ji,
जगा के
ji.
रखेंगे.
That is the positive side of this red color. Dr. Ritika, we should start.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. A very good evening to all distinguished panelists and participants. Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute of Computer Applications and Management, BVI CAM, in association with Computer Science Chapter of IEEE Delhi Section, Consultants Network Affinity CNA Group of IEEE Delhi Section, Life Member Affinity LMA Group of IEEE Delhi Section, Inter-Society Relations IRS Standing Committee of IEEE Delhi Section, Industry Relations and Site Standing Committee of IEEE Delhi Section, with the Associations of Computer Society of India, SAFA Society, ISTE Delhi Section, and IETE Delhi Center, welcomes you all to this webinar on cyber assurance, key to sustainability for 21st century organizations. Ginny Rometty stated that cybercrime is the greatest threat to every company in the world. This quote indicates the importance of cyber assurance in the present times for any and every kind of business. The webinar today is aimed to highlight how internet, globalization, the information technology, and web technologies have interconnected people all over the world today in the virtual world of cyberspace. However, this world of cyberspace is also fraught with threats from organized criminals of the cyber underworld. There is thus a need for governing this virtual world to support global social, political, economic collaboration and exchange while managing the associated risk. Cyber governance must lead to cyber assurance along with IT value delivery and IT risk management. So before starting with today's webinar, I would first take this opportunity to welcome amongst us our distinguished panelists for the day. We are privileged to have amongst us our galaxy of experts. I would first welcome Professor Subrata Mukhopadhyay, Chairperson, Consultants Network Affinity, CNA Group, and former Chairperson, IEEE Delhi Section. I would now request Professor Subrata Mukhopadhyay to commence the session with his welcome address.
Thank you, Ritika. Good evening to everybody, or morning, anything, wherever, because the people are joining always from abroad also. We do not know their timing. So topic is yet important under the present circumstances when we are using lot of things on cyberspace and cyber media, cyber, whatever software, hardware, anything is there. So assurance, as he has split completely, insurance, audit, assurance, and the organizations. I don't think that earlier the organizations were not requiring it, but now the dependency has gone much. Again, we have gone back to work from home and other things. So I see from 2 points. Again, information on one side, communication. Because this cyber fraud is okay. Even the communication fraud also is taking place with huge amount of different types of fields being done, superimposed. It may create a problem. So hardware wise also you are not safe. Everything has to be done with a redundancy also and availability with 99.99 everybody certifies, even for the sanitization also, keeping a small margin outside. I think Professor Subramaniam is very anxious now to start this thing before Professor Hoda will be definitely talking a little bit. So let me stop over here. Over to Ritika.
Thank you, sir. I now request Professor Emin Huda, Director, Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute of Computer Applications and Management, BVI CAM, to address the participants with his inspiring words.
Good evening, one and all. Am I audible, Dr. Ritika?
Yes, sir.
Oh, great. So, good evening, one and all. This is our 57th webinar of the IEEE Bharati Vidyapeeth Evening Webinar Series. So, I take this opportunity to welcome you all from different parts of the country and abroad for this webinar. And at the outset, let me pay my gratitude, my sincere thanks to today's valued speaker, Professor Subramaniam, who has always been passionate about sharing what he knows, what he does best. That is how he is here with all of us to share his experience on cyber assurance, a key to sustainability for 21st century organizations. And because he has been involved in this domain since quite a long time, almost more than 3 decades, so we'll be talking on cyber insurance, audit, and assurance. To me, this topic is very important because all of us know that everything in and around us is moving towards in cyberspace. Once everything is moving in cyberspace, it is always said that money alone can set entire world on fire. And you know, not only money, data, everything is moving in cyber world. It is said that probably the next war will be on data. So that's the kind of apprehension coming up. That is the kind of the value which is the cyber world is generating to all of us. In this background, it is important to understand that where we are, what are the possible vulnerabilities, and how can we fix those vulnerabilities, so that despite the fact that we are working in an open cyber domain and intruders, hackers are there to take advantage of the vulnerabilities, but once we fix up the vulnerabilities, they will not be in a position to take advantage of those vulnerabilities, right? So plugging on the loopholes, for that we need to understand the auditing process of the cyber domain. That's what is very important, and that's how I keep saying always that जो चाहते हो चिरागों को हम सफर रखना, जो चाहते हो चिरागों को हम सफर रखना, जरा हवा के इरादों पे भी नजर रखना. Means if you want that your system should remain foolproof, then you must keep in mind the mindset of the intruders, mindset of the hackers, mindset of the unauthorized people who are going to intrude upon your system. That's the kind of possibility. So जो चाहते हो चिरागों को हम सफर रखना, जरा हवा के इरादों पे भी नजर रखना. If we do not fix up the vulnerability in advance, if we do not plug in all the loopholes, then the intruders will take everything from us, from our cyber domain, and then we'll be keep on complaining from one pillar to another pillar, that what we claim that moving from pillar to post. So the poet says that जो चाहते हो चिरागों को हम सफर रखना, जरा हवा के इरादों पे भी नजर रखना, अब उजड़ गए हो तो ये शिकायतें कैसी, कहा था किसने कि तूफान की जद पे रहना. My dear friends, this world of cyber system Am I audible?
Sir, you got disconnected in between.
But what about now? Am
Yes,
I
sir.
audible?
Now you're audible. Yes,
yeah.
sir. Now
So once we want that we should be in a position to safeguard our all valuable assets on internet, then this implies that vulnerabilities must be fixed. And now for this particular aspect, we need to change the entire mindset of the people. The way in which we are moving forward is not at all an ethical way, is not at all a desirable way in which we are working in a cyber domain. Imagine maybe during our time when we were kids, we used to write our diaries and we used to become mad if someone used to read our diary without our permission. How dare you read my diary, right? That used to be the reaction. But now in today's time, whatever is the private information, we post it on FB, we post it on social network, and then keep on waiting that people will give me good like. And if people are more sensible and they realize that that's the personal information, why should give like or why should react on that, then people, then that kind of person put another post, whether everyone of you are sleeping or what, give me some like. That's the kind of mindset which has changed. If with this mindset we are making our private information in a public domain available to everyone, and then we are talking of cyber security, then we are talking of cyber assurance. So we have not undertaken the kind of the audit and the insurance aspect. So that is very important aspect. We need to take care of all this. And I used to give a very favorite example of mine, that in today's earlier, when we used to leave our home, we used to keep telephone in such a position that if someone calls it, they should get a busy tone. This implies that someone is there in the home and is talking. That used to keep receiver in that way, right? And normally 1 or 2 lights in the home used to be on, so that the people from outside, those who do not know, should understand that there are someone inside the home. Now in today's time, once you are going on some pleasure trip or maybe on some picnic from one place to another place, before going, once you plan, you put your entire information on Facebook, you put your entire information in other social networking sites, and tell them that, say, on so and so date, maybe on 20th of January, I will be moving from Delhi to Shimla. And then on 21st of January, I will be moving from Shimla to maybe Manali. And then 22nd January, I'll be taking dinner at so and so place. You are for the information of your friends, you feel that putting these informations are important and you are putting these information in a public domain. But at the same moment, there are thieves who are watching you and they have recorded all your plans, and they are watching your movement. Once you are out from your home towards Shimla, they are inside your home. Once you are from Shimla to Manali, they are taking dinner at your home. And once you are from Manali to some other place, maybe Kullu, they have gathered all belongings, all valuables from your home, and then loaded in the truck, and they have taken it away. And once you are back at your home, then you move from pillar to post, from one police station to another police station, keep on complaining, Baba, help me, help me, help me, but no one will help you. And that's how I keep saying that particular share, that जो चाहते हो चिरागों को हम सफर रखना, जरा हवा के इरादों पे भी नजर रखना, अब उजड़ गए हो तो ये शिकायतें कैसी, कहा तो किसने कि तूफान की जद पे रहना, किसने कहा था कि all your valuables you should be all your private information you should be posting in a public domain so that everyone will come to know. We ideally should have secured our entire personal space in a way that no intruder, no authorized person should have been allowed to enter into my personal space. And that probably the 2 couplets of a great poet will reply to this situation, that मैं आंधियों की जमानत लिखा के आया हूं, मेरा चिराग हवाओं के पास रख देना, जिसको जो चाहे कोशिश करके देख लो, मैंने मेरे सिस्टम को फुल प्रूफ रखा है, because my system is full proof, so no intruder can enter into the system. That is the objective of today's webinar. So thank you so much all the participants from joining from different parts of the country and abroad. There are 7 more webinars which are notified, and if you have not registered so far, it's a sincere request to register for those webinars. Keep attending webinars. I wish you happy and safe stay, and keep learning despite disruptions in and around us. All of us know that COVID is right at our doorstep and we should be careful about it. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Ritika.
Thank you, sir. I would now welcome amongst us our expert speaker, Professor K. Subramaniam, IEEE Ambassador and Area Coordinator India for IEEE CS GAC. Dr. Subramaniam was the first director and professor at Advanced Center for Informatics and Innovative Learning, ACIIL. He was one of the founder creators of National Informatics Center under the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology, Government of India, and has served there for over 32 years and superannuated as Senior DDG. He served as the Information Technology Advisor to Comptroller and Auditor General of India for more than a decade and a half and is currently serving as an Honorary Advisor IT. He has more than 3.5 decades of experience in architecture, design, development, implementation, and audit technology and systems of the federal, state, districts in the Union of India. He is also currently serving as a technical member in the Quality Council of India for accreditation of the technical skills required by ITES industry on behalf of NASSCOM. He worked as a chair and member of LTD Electronics and Communication and Management System Committees of Bureau of Indian Standards BIS. He has contributed in design of systems and network architecture for national passport, visa security, police and immigration agencies of the government. As an IT advisor to CAG of India for more than 15 years, he has contributed in the development of ICT infrastructure, capacity building and technical review and e-audit of e-governance programs in India in the public sector, autonomous bodies, educational institutions of central and state government. As a capacity building and skill development expert, he was also instrumental in the setup of International Center for Information System Audit Academy under CAG of India, National Institute of Finance Management under Finance Ministry, IDRBT under Reserve Bank of India, and SBIICM under State Bank of India, PNB IIT for Punjab National Bank. I welcome you today to this session, sir, and I would now request you to enlighten the House. Sir, you are not audible. Uttam sir, can we help? Sir is not audible.
Ma'am, I suppose his mic is not working actually. Hello.
Sir, most probably your mic is not connected. So the slides are moving, but you are not audible. Uttam sir, it is showing voice conference. Is there any problem with that?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, सर को जो है लीव करके दोबारा ज्वाइन करना पड़ेगा.
Sir, if you could disconnect and rejoin.
चैट में दीजिए, सुन नहीं रहे.
Sir has disconnected. Dear participant, there is a small technical glitch, so sir will be rejoining us. Uttam sir, I think you will have to check because sir will join as an attendee and then you will have to promote him.
Yes, ma'am. I am just checking out that.
Dear participants, it is a small technical glitch. Subramaniam sir will be here with us anytime soon. And we are all eagerly awaiting to hear from him on cyber assurance, which is very important in the present time. Sir has joined us. Ye- Sir, your mic is not connected again. I can see you, but I cannot hear you. Sir, now you are on mute. No, sir, I cannot hear you. Sir, we cannot hear you. Dear participants, we are trying to overcome this technical glitch. Hopefully, we'll be able to resolve it in a few minutes. Sir has rejoined. Sir, you are on mute. Kindly unmute yourself now. No, sir, I cannot hear you. Dear participants, we are working on resolving this issue. Kindly wait for a few minutes. It will just take us a few minutes to resolve this issue. Subramaniam sir, Uttam sir will be giving you a call to resolve this issue.
Sir, am I audible to you? Sir,
Yes, sir.
you can just go to audio and video switch from the menu and select the speaker and microphone settings.
Subramaniam sir, there is an audio and video option at the top in the menu.
Then select the Microsoft microphone settings. Just give me a minute, ma'am.
Huda sir, I have sent you a WhatsApp, sir. If you could please look and help.
টাঙ্গু করে যাচ্ছে।
Uttam sir, you can give Subramaniam sir a call. Dear participants, we apologize for this technical glitch and we are working to resolve the same. So hopefully within a few minutes, we will be able to resolve this and we'll start with the session. We are working on resolving this problem, dear participants. So hopefully within a few minutes, we shall be able to resolve this issue. So the audio came in between and then it went, then it was lost. Subramaniam sir will be joining us now within a few seconds. We are working on resolving the problem and hopefully it is resolved because I can see sir is connected now with audio settings. Sir is on mute. Sir, we are unable to hear you. If you could join from another device, sir, and the audio could be fine. I could share the slides. We could even do it that way. Dear participants, we are working on resolving the problem. So please stay with us. Every coin has two sides. So similarly, I would say the digital world also has its advantages. But in the plate of advantages, there are also certain glitches and technology glitches that we keep encountering every now and then. Subramaniam sir, if you could join from your phone also.
I'm joining from
So-
the phone.
Yes, sir. Sir, I could hear you, but the voice was not very clear.
सुनो तो नहीं, वीडियो तो नहीं। এটা রীতিকা।
এটা রীতিকা, এই লোকটা রীতিকা।
লোক কি করে? এটা মেয়ে তো, রীতিকার সুবাসন। এ আলু হয়ে আছে।
এইটা কেন এরকম?
ও
I
লাল
think the mic is coming and going in between. So it is getting connected and disconnected.
তো ওই কানেক্ট ডিসকানেক্ট করছে, ওটা লাল। প্রথমেই একজন এসে বলছে এটা কি ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড।
Subrata sir, you are on unmute. So this is just a few of the technical glitches that we suffer every now and then with the technology. So that is what I was telling the participants. Every coin has two sides. So this is the second kind of the second technological challenge that we can have in any of the present times.
Now he is not visible also.
Yes, sir.
Is he trying to reconnect or something like that?
Sir, actually, Uttam sir is working in the background with sir.
Oh,
So we are trying to resolve the issue. Actually, what I can understand is that his mic is connecting and disconnecting in between.
okay. But can it not be connected through that, what I should say, mobile, by a communication
So
link
that
only?
is what
Let
I'm
the
suggesting,
audio,
sir,
video
if you
need to
could
be done
connect
there.
to mobile.
Ah.
Dear participants, you all have joined in attendee mode. So attendee mode, you are by default on mute. But all our panelists and our speakers are on panelist mode. So panelist mode, they are by default on unmute. Sir's device is most probably connecting and disconnecting in between the audio settings. So we'll be taking a few minutes to resolve this thing.
It's okay now?
Hey,
Yes,
something
sir,
is
it is
coming.
okay, but there is a slight echo now.
1 minute, let me,
Yes, sir.
okay now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me come on. I'll switch on the audio.
Sir, if you could lower the volume of your second device. I think the echo is coming because
Yes, okay.
from your laptop also the
No,
volume is low.
I will switch it off that other one.
Yes, sir.
Okay now?
Yes,
Okay
sir.
now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me start with that because there are glitches. And
Yes,
there
sir.
will be- Whatever. 1 minute, let me switch off that. I leave that. Okay, 1 minute. Well, now it's okay?
Yes, sir. Now it
Now
is
it's
fine.
okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now it's okay, right?
Yes, sir.
Now you can hear me.
Yes, sir. I can hear you
I'm sorry for
perfectly.
that trouble because there is some audio issue and
Yes,
we
sir.
resolved it just now. And I'm happy to be here and let me wish you Happy New Year for all those participants as well as panelists. And let me also thank Professor Voda and Subodha Mahobadhyaya and Ritika for introducing me and then welcoming me for this program. Let me give some idea about this whole topic because when we are talking about, everybody says insurance, everybody says audit, everybody says assurance. But who is giving you cyber assurance? Nobody. 100% assurance is not possible to give. So I thought that maybe possibly we'll try to discuss various issues on cyber assurance for key to the systemability for 21st century organizations. So it starts with insurance and transform to audit and also assurance, how we make. This is the kind of coverage I want to make. So my portion of the coverage is going to be decided like this. Governance components, cyber governance. Let me introduce a new area, cyber governance. Let me give you some standards. Let me give you assurance framework, which we have designed, and also PPP redefined. That is private-public partnership instead of public-private partnership. That's redefined. Challenges for technologies and businesses for sustainability in 21st century. I think this is my coverage today. Let me go to the next slide. I have some notable quotes, very interesting, because the poor are sometimes subjected to being governed badly. The rich have always subjected to being governed at all. This is what Chesterton said. Ever since men began to modify their lives by using technology, they found themselves in a series of technological traps. This is what Roger Revell said. Then we thought we'll bring a cyber law. The law is the last interpretation of last given by the last judge. This is what Professor Anand said. And we talk about privacy here. Privacy is where technology and law collide. That's what Richard Smith said. And technology makes it possible for people to gain control over everything except our technology. I think this is John Tudor said. So very interesting, notable course. I thought I will share with you. And let me start now. See, the organizations in ICT, I think we have a loose coupling and fragmented implementation. Can you change the slides, ma'am? Can you change the slides along with me? So the organizations and information technology are loosely coupled, and there are mediating factors. The mediating factors are environment, culture, structure of the organization, standard procedures, the politics, the management decisions, and chance for luck for whether success or not. So typical global scenario is cyberspace is dynamic, undefined, and exponential. So countries need dynamic laws keeping pace with technological advancements. In a virtual space, netizens exist, citizens don't.
Slides are not moving.
Trust in environments. How will you bring a trust? Trust cannot be bought. Trust has to be created. Lack of mature IT society.
Slides are not moving.
Absence of single body governing body. Legislation. We need a proper legislation for it. High skill inventory we need for making people to be aware of cyber security and cyber assurance aspects. Reduce fear of being caught. I think this is what I think we have to bring, because people have fear of being caught, but I think it will reduce the fear of being caught. Disgruntled employees, because many people within the organization, they are able to give trouble to this organization. So disgruntled employees are the major non-trustworthy people who are going to be playing the role of their for making an untrusted organization. So creating trust in an enterprise. Today's information explosion is creating challenges for businesses and technology leaders at virtually every organization. And the lack of trusted information and the pressure to reduce cost in the minds of CEOs and senior executives around the world. So how will we make best of the technologies to use at lower cost? What is required to solve these challenges is a paradigm shift from generating and managing silos of information, talent, and skills of technologies of projects of the environment, where the information is a trusted strategic asset that is shared across the company. So next is, I think we'll give a transition mode now from insurance to audit to assurance. And we have to work out a layered framework for assurance. So why insurance is created now? Insurance is going to compensate where the financial loss is going to be there. There will be a compensation, financial compensation for the loss of asset. So information is not even an asset earlier, but now it is considered to be asset. Next, audit. We thought we'll bring in audit, and then audit will solve all the problems because auditors are supposed to be experts and bring out the kind of loopholes in the systems and processes and organizations. So audit has got three roles. One is a pre-audit. That means before the system is designed, we take the auditor's concurrence on it. Before then, concurrent audit where system is running, we do the concurrent audit. Where post-audit, normally post-audit is done. So concurrent and pre-audit are introduced only in some organizations. So we have introduced a new concept called e-audit. So very interesting concept, IT audit and e-audit. So what we thought is maybe possibly there are 7-layer framework there. One is environmental audit. We have to do the kind of IT environments, what kind of things infrastructure is there, what kind of things are built upon on that, communication infrastructure, what kind of things are delivery system we use, what kind of systems and programs we use. Operational audit, that's what I think we are doing, and we'll do the operational audit on live, real time. Technology audit, I think many people have not done because most of the organizations have multiple technologies in their environment. So technology audit is the lowest priority earlier, but now it is going to be an important aspect. Technology has to be synchronized and working together. The network audit, I think this is already done by many organizations. The financial audit is chartered accountants are certifying the financial aspects of the company. The management audit, I think this is also another thing which is quality standards and certification processes there. The management audit is also done. And impact audit is also conducted by many organizations. Then third point is when the real-time systems are running, electronic continuous audit systems also being introduced. So how do you get kind of things, assurance there? Certification. Certification is one process where assurance is introduced. So this is a way in which people work in the organization, layered framework. So what is the kind of things assurance will give? Management and operational assurance, that is the risk and ROI. Technological assurance, I think availability, serviceability, and maintainability of the organization, always available 24/7. Financial assurance is revenue assurance is protected, leakage and fraud is detected and corrected. Legal compliance and assurance, I think governance aspect, very important with the various laws coming into picture, the governance aspect has come, assumed a greater significance now. Why assurance? People talk about why assurance needed. Competitive threats and way forward. Internal competition from liberalization. I think when the liberalized world is working, internal competition is increased. World competition from globalization. Enriched competition abroad. Asymmetry in scale and technology and brands. Industry shakeouts and restructuring. I think continuously people are restructuring the organizations. Learn more about your own businesses. Very, very important aspect. Because earlier only some people know businesses about their business, but now everybody should know about their own businesses. Reach out to all business and function heads. Everybody should synchronously work together to make the organization success. Sharpen internal consultancy competencies. I think very, very important aspect of internal talent growing and also managing the talents internally. Proactively seize the repertoire of other partners and MS. Faster two-way flow of IS and line talent. Very, very important aspect of competitive threats here. So key areas of organizational assurance is systems in place to identify and mitigate differing risk perceptions of stakeholders to meet business needs. The supplier assurance is confidence that control the third-party suppliers adequate and meets organization benchmarks. Business partners assurance means confirmation that security arrangements with partners assess and mitigate business risk. Services and IT systems assurance, capability of developers, suppliers of IT services systems to implement effective systems to manage the organization's business. Why and how the business assurance is developed? Manufacturing industries, developing and implementing policies and procedures to ensure operations are efficient, consistent, effective, and compliance with the law. Services organizations, processes that establishes uninterrupted delivery of services to customers and protects interest in information. The project assurance is given confirmation that business cash variable and actual cost and timelines in line with planned cost and schedules. The objective is deliver significant commercial value to the business while fully complying with the regulatory requirements. To avoid like Enron type of scandals and others, which is happening every day in the world. So I think the benefits of assurance are contributes to effectiveness and efficiency of business operation, ensures reliability and continuity of information systems, assists in compliance with laws and regulations, assures that organizational risk exposure is mitigated, confirms that internal information is accurate, timely, and reliable, increases investor and lenders' confidence. I think this is a benefit of assurance. So we talk about the e-society and good governance. I think how they work together, how they synchronize together. E-governance are monitoring and evaluation 180 degrees. Data archives, OLAP, DSS terminals. E-providers, abstract service and facilitation 360 degrees. User accounts, OLTPs, SWS portals. E-governance, governance online metadata standards. E-infrastructure, bandwidth interoperability. E-business, public policy, legal environment. E-innovation, computer access expertise. E-commerce, network nodes access. And QoL, public systems and high-tech architecture. So see, what are the governance components? Let me talk about one slide on this. Project governance. I think we never talked about project governance. We talked about project management earlier. Next is IT governance. Third is local governance, legal governance. Fourth is security governance, which is human and humane governance. I think governance with a touch, soft touch. I think this is what we are trying to see how best we can do it. These are the governance components and 4 components in that. So corporate governance, business assurance framework is global phenomena. I think the various things happen in regulatory framework like SOX of USA, Basel 2 and 3, project governance standards, IT governance standards, human and humane governance standards. India initiatives, there are many, because CB and other government organizations have introduced various legal implications of not following the laws. So MCA is also initiated various things for corporate governance. I think what do different partners contribute? You see this slide? It talks about the entire things, business technical to business operational, business civil society. And the next slide, please. Civil society. And you just see the kind of connectivity what we have. It depends on so many factors, which is supposed to be governing us in terms of different partners contributing to the kind of scenario where civil society, then government regulatory agencies, business technical, and business financial, and business infrastructure. I think need for getting to integration of multi-state and multi-located. Operational integration we talk about professional integration. We talk about emotional and cultural integration because various people are having different kind of emotions and cultural behaviors. ICT in government business and services integration, very, very important aspect. And multi-technology coexistence and seamless integration. Information assurance, that's a very, very important area where information generated from multiple sources and multiple channels, and they are supposed to be channeled out, and kind of assurance is to be given about information quality, currency, personalization, customization of information for delivery purposes. So what we think about here is, IC is the sole integrator of IT governance, and it is very important tool. So let me give up how to manage interdependencies of critical issues. Very, very important aspect of it. Infrastructural characteristics, organizational, operational, temporal, and spatial. Environmental issues, critical issues, economic, legal, regulatory, technical, social, and political. Coupling and response behavior, adaptive, inflexible, loose and tight, linear, and complex. The type of failures, common cause, cascading, and escalating. Types of interdependencies, physical, cyber, logical, and geographic. State of operations is normally, stress and disrupted, repair and restoration state. I think there are various things where we have to do managing interdependencies and critical issues. So we talk about now, introduce a concept called cyber governance. What is cyber governance? How is it different from corporate governance or IT governance? Now it is related to these areas of governance. So what is governance and how it is different from management? I think we have to understand the differentiation between this. Governance means steering, providing high-level direction through strategies, policies, organizational structures, and processes to achieve objectives and have monitoring and control processes. Cyberspace is a virtual space that is accessible through computers and network internet technology and has no territorial physical boundaries. It creates a virtual world. Who will control or police this virtual world is the most important question. Internet governance is going to be much more complex issues. Cyber governance refers to governance of cyberspace. There are political, legal, economic, social, technology dimensions to the governance of cyberspace. Who is responsible for cyber governance? What is the role of national governments? What is the role of international laws and regulations or treaties that govern the cyberspace? What is the role of global corporations? What is the role of global commercial trade organizations and agencies such as UN and Interpol? The current and future state of e-commerce, e-banking, e-government, e-healthcare, e-markets all depend on governance of cyberspace to facilitate the use of web as a medium of promote global interchange without this involved. So cyber governance is to deal with all aspects of cyber regulation. It should also deal with creating governance structures to facilitate optimal use of web as a medium of global commerce, banking and social interactions, and global collaboration. What technologies will drive the future of internet and cyberspace to facilitate business, commerce, political, economic, and social interactions? So IT governance would be a subset of this overreaching area of cyber governance within corporations, subject to national boundaries, and would be connected with governance of IT within the corporations to align IT with businesses and corporate goals. I think these are the kind of things where definition of cyber governance is given and complications and technical issues are given. So global issues with governance of cyberspace. Let me outline some of the aspects of it. Information technology and business, current status and future. I think this is a kind of global issue on governance of cyberspace. Does IT matter or IT enabled business matters? Role of information and information systems in business. Role of information technology in enabling business, IT dependence. So changing role of the CIO, Web 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 and governing cyberspace. E-businesses and e-health, e-banking, e-governance and current technology, challenges and issues. I think these are the global issues with governance of cyberspace. Towards information assurance, let me come to the topic of information assurance. Increasingly, the goal is not about information security, but about information assurance, which deals with issues such as data availability, the currency of the data, the accuracy of data, integrity of the data. That means organizations should focus not only on risk avoidance, but also on risk management. You have to be able to evaluate risk and articulate them in business terms. This is what James Scott said, ASO of the US State Department. Why information security governance is important? So with the security incidents and data breaches having a huge impact on corporations, security governance are oversight by the board and executive management has assumed greater significance. Security governance refers to the strategic direction given by the board and executive management for the managing information security risks to achieve corporate objectives by reducing losses and liabilities arising out of the security incidents. So what is the security governance? Let me give another concept here called security governance. Security governance would lead to development of an information security strategy and an action plan for implementation through well-defined information security program. The governance would lead to establishment of organization structure and processes and monitoring schemes. For the past few years, IT and security persons have talked about information technology and particularly information security as a business enabler. Today, it might also be called a compliance enabler. IT and security organizations have both been able to, on the front lines for compliance efforts, are being asked to play two pivotal roles. The first pivotal role is to provide a secure, well-controlled IT environment to improve business performance. And second, to assist the organization in strategically and tactically addressing its governance, risk and compliance requirements. A very important aspect is defined here. So threat and vulnerability management. I think Professor Voda was mentioning here in the introduction of this talk, that threat and vulnerability management is going to be a big issue for us. So authenticating user identities with a range of mechanisms such as tokens, biometrics, public infrastructure is one of the aspects. The second aspect is developing user access policies and procedures, rules and responsibilities, and a standardized role structure that helps the organization meet the enforced security standards. Centralizing user data stores in a single enterprise directory that enables increased efficiencies in user administration, access control, and authentication. I think we are going to talk about earlier centralized to decentralized. Now decentralized distributed systems are being talked here. Reducing IT operating costs and increasing efficiency by implementing effective user management to support self-service and automate workflow, and by provisioning and instituting flexible user administration. You need an integrated threat and vulnerability management solution to better monitor, report on, and respond to complex security threats and vulnerabilities as well as meet regulatory requirements. You need to protect both your own information assets and also those you are custodian of, such as sensitive customer data. You want a real-time integrated snapshot of your security posture. You want to correlate events from data emerging from multiple security touchpoints. You need support from a comprehensive inventory of known threat exposures. You need to reduce the cost of ownership of your threat and vulnerability management system. I think this is what is important of threat and vulnerability management, the whole exercise of governance of cyber space. So risk identification. I think we talked about, very many people are talking about risk identification. Assess currently security capabilities, including threat management, vulnerability management, compliance management, reporting intelligence, analysis. Identify technology requirements for bridging security gaps. Integrated security information management, ISM system. Develop processes to evaluate and prioritize security intelligence information received from external sources, allowing organizations to minimize risk before an attack. Implement processes that support an ongoing maintenance, evaluation, and administration of security standards and policies. Very important aspect of it. Determine asset contribution, asset attributes such as direct and indirect association, sensitivity, and asset criticality to help organizations allocate resources strategically. Assist in aggregating security data from multiple sources in a centralized repository or dashboard for user-friendly representation to managers and auditors. Help design and implement a comprehensive security reporting system that provides a periodic, holistic view of all IT risk and compliance systems and outputs. Assist in developing governance programs to enforce policies and accountability. I think these various areas of risk have been identified here. Focus areas of information security management system as outlined 27,000 ISO series. Security policy. I think all the organizations have security policy, but implementation of security policy is going to be a bigger task. Organization information security, asset management. I think recognizing what kind of assets we have and asset management of assets also very important area. Whatever IT assets and non-IT assets. Human resources security, very important aspect of human beings because they are behavioral and environmental and so many things factors are affecting that. Physical and environmental security, communications and operations management, access control systems, identification systems, information system acquisition, development and maintenance, information security, incident management, business continuity management, and compliance to rules and regulations. I think this is what is enabled in outlining ISO 27000 series. Those who are certified of ISO 27000 series may understand the kind of implications of this kind of components of this. 9 rules of risk management. I think very interesting aspect is there's no return without risk. So rewards to go with those who take risk. So without risk, nobody can live. Be transparent. Very important aspect. Risk is measured and managed by people, not mathematical models. Know what you don't know. Question the assumptions you make. Communicate. The risk should be discussed openly. Diversify. Multiple risks will produce more consistent rewards. Slow discipline. A consistent and rigorous approach will beat a constantly changing strategy. Use common sense. It is better to be approximately right than to be precisely wrong. Return is only half the question. Decisions were made only by considering the risk and return of possibilities. So we see the kind of things what happened. Identity control, information integrity is increasing with the kind of controls built in, but operation risk is also reducing the kind of more controls. So compliance is very important aspect of it. So what is the kind of rules people have in CXOs? CEO, CTO, CIO, CSO, maybe possibly CXOs responsibility. Those systems should ensure that both business and technology managers are properly engaged in identifying compliance requirements and planning compliance initiatives, which typically involve complementary adjustments in systems, practices, training in organization. So there are key 3 issues and 5 major IT decisions to be made. One is the need to reduce IT confusion and chaos. Very important aspect of we create chaos, we create confusion, but how we reduce IT confusion and chaos is a major task before the decision makers. The environment demands accountability. Only most productive organizations will thrive. 5 major IT decisions you have to make: IT principles, IT architecture, IT infrastructure strategies, IT business application needs, and IT investments. So I think we are trying to give a Calder-Meyer IT governance framework here. Very interesting aspect of so many things have been talked about here for businesses which are going to be continuously operational real-time systems. There are so many standards are being talked about here. and we'll talk about standards in a few slides from now. So CXOs in IT governance, what kind of roles they have? The roles and responsibility of IT governance, highlighting the parts played by the CEO, business executives, CIO, IT steering committee, technology council, and IT architecture review board. I think this is the kind of relationship they have. They have to work together in a synchronized mode. So if you see the kind of internal strategic alliances, CIO and CEO, business-led information strategy. CIO and CMO, competitive urgency, constant value proposition. The CIO and CTO, cost benefit optimization. The CIO and CFO, shareholder value maximization. CIO and CHRO, employee performance and rewards. CIO and business partners, virtual extended enterprise. So they are also part of your family. Then we talk about productivity. The productivity promises capital productivity is ROA, EVA, and MEA. Material productivity is 60% of the cost. Managerial productivity is information worker. Everybody is an information worker. Labor productivity is enabled by information worker. Company productivity is micro and factor productivity is macro. I think this is the kind of productivity promise we are talking about. So we see the kind of 4 phases of a CIO and CIO management framework. This slide is taken from CIO magazine sometime later, before. And this gives clearly a picture of orientation as well as innovation, where the innovation is going to be helpful to people to change their, to then modify the strategies to work better. I think this is an important slide, which I think every CIO has to adopt. So information is a competitive advantage. That's what we understood now for visioning and strategic planning, scenarios and simulations. World-class project management, hard and soft. Implementation operations, operational excellence. DSS, CIS, CRM, etc. is for optimization and control. So way forward. What is the way forward? Learn more about your own businesses. Reach out to all business and function needs. Sharpen internal consultancy competencies. Productively seize the repository of MS and partners, all partners and technology partners. Foster two-way flow of information systems and line talents. Very, very important aspect of it. Training and constantly capacity building exercise. 10 important parameters and 4 strategies. I think IT and law, very, very important aspect, because IT is changing every second. Maybe law is not changing at all. And law is going to be a complex task. Security and risk, which is changing continuously on the kind of environment that we are in. Business integration, very, very important aspect of value to the enterprise. Alignment is equal to collaboration. That means we have to be aligned totally 100% with collaborative partners. Governance and funding, IT sourcing, performance measures, growing talent, beyond customer service. So what we need to develop? 4 strategies we talk about here. Development an aligned strategic IT plan. Create a collaborative decision-making process. Raise the profile of IT. Get the green light for going. I think this is the 4 strategy we have thought of. So the process governance, what about talk about process governance? Every step what we mentioned, there are 4 steps is detailed below. Step-by-step format of this methodology will walk you through the proven process of first creating a strategic IT plan that is aligned with your own organization objectives. Create collaborative decision-making process. IT impacts more business procedures, more stakeholders will become involved in the decision-making process. This methodology helps you to develop a structured and efficient decision-making forum. Process governance, third part is raise the profile of IT. By aligning IT planning with organizational goals, IT will become a key player in evaluating the business issues that factor into enterprise-wide decision-making. Get the green light, that means everybody okay, they'll keep going. So I think measurement of IT projects value and effectiveness, very, very important aspect. What are the kind of parameters for IT assessment? Validity and relevance, predictability, quantifiability, informativeness, generality, transferability, reliability to other parts of the organization. The effectiveness is utility, efficiency, economy, control, and security. The assessment of IT function, what are the assessment parameters? Strategy, delivery, technology, people, and systems. I think this is a very interesting way of how the measurement of IT projects value and effectiveness is being talked about in integrated fashion. So I think IT service objective certification framework, we talk about framework attributes, effectiveness, efficiency, confidentiality, integrity, availability, compliance, and reliability of information. So we talk about various aspects of this. This control theory, COVID, IT Act, IT and IT Act references are being given here. So we talk about standards. Why we develop standards? Various standards have been developed. So there are technical standards, there are management standards. So let us talk about the difference between the two shortly. So standards are security standards are there, audit standards are there, interoperability standards are there, interface standards are there, architecture building blocks reusable standards are there, human computer interface standards are there, process standards are there, environmental, physical and safety standards are there, data interchange and mail messaging system standards are there, layout imprint standards are there. So some management system standards, quality assurance, security audit, 9,000, 27,000, 20,000. Business continuity planning, disaster management, ISO 22301. Digital preservation of repositories, ISO 16363, and other 16919. I think there are two standards I've developed by digital preservation record. So I think mainly the technical management standards are quantifiable in this way. Technical standards specifications mainly for interoperability, accessibility, and interactivity. Management standards are one auditable, verifiable, certification, compliance. I think very interesting aspect of this, why management standards have been developed, why vis-a-vis technical standards. Technical standards are always advanced, and management standards are not very advanced. I think we have a problem of synchronizing these two developments of standards for acceptability and availability compliance of these standards. So you just see this slide, very interesting slide, which talk about the various aspects of these standards not being covered by all. There's no single standard. There is one aspect of it. The second aspect is there's no single standard for every sector. So we have to make sectoral specified standards modifiable, customizable with these standards. I think this is what is not being done now, because we talk about only experts are going to do these kind of things. Strategic, process control, process execution, work instruction. Just see the kind of standards where what is not addressing various areas. So we are talking about a kind of so many things have been developed now. I think we are talking about a kind of system where integrated, customizable standards are being developed for every sector of operations. So now you see the legislative trust and technological issues. Amendment to IT Act and Legislation New Acts. I think every time we amended the Act twice. Now third time amendment is going on a Privacy Act separately. So authentication for retrieval, authorized access and control of access. Security standards for certification mandatory for compliance for electronic archives. Very important aspect of it, because everybody stores information. How will you make standards and compliance on this? Information data protection, privacy and privacy standards. So information management and continuous preservation of electronic archives. Information assurance and availability, auditability standards. So this talk about 5-layer framework here: effectiveness, efficiency, confidentiality, integrity, availability, compliance, and reliability of information. I think this is a kind of regulatory structure for a legal framework. So technological developments are happening, so many things. Now Wi-Fi product access security standards have been developed. So now I think so many standards are coming in terms of various aspects of it. Will follow from 2005 onwards to 2022. So now let us talk about IT regulation, policies, compliance management, prerequisites for physical infrastructure mindset. Very, very interesting aspect. Past. We have inherited a past for which you can't be held responsible. We have fashioned the present based on development models which have undergone many mid-course corrections. So nobody is aware of all the mid-course corrections have been corrected very well and systems are synchronized. Future, the path of the future is a future in which India and Indians will play a dominant role in the world affairs. Is replete with opportunities and challenges. I think everything is an opportunity, everything is a challenge. In several key areas, it is necessary to break from the past in order to achieve our vision. We have within ourselves the capacity to succeed. So we must embrace ICE for innovation, creativity, management, productivity, and governance. I think this is the kind of things where we have to, ICE is going to play a larger role in these aspects. So I think another problem comes up. It is too many controls are coming. So we are talking about creativity and command control. Too much of creativity results in anarchy. Too much of command and control system kills creativity. We need a balancing act here. In the IT regulations and policies, compliance management, we have to play a balancing role. So this is very important aspect of it, which is difficult to manage. So now we are going up the value chain. I think business value delivered to business value IT infrastructure. I think what we need is time for business impact is going to be reducing. So if you see the kind of business management versus IT management, see the graph, triangular picture, which is given a degree of influence is given here. So this reliability is explanatory, and we are not talking much about it because it can be talked about 1 hour lecture. So principles of good governance, let me come to this before going to the governance maturity model. Leadership, selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, and honesty. These are the 7 principles of good governance. The other side is humane governance. This is with a soft touch. So public helpful touch, human governance is happened. Should be creative and we're always creative. Uses knowledge for national wealth and health creation. Understands the economics of knowledge. I think economics of knowledge is not being understood by many. So we have to work out kind of understand economics of knowledge and high morality. Very, very important aspect of high morality. So this is, I think, a kind of staircase, rapidly moving governance maturity models. I think only make governance matured. From the presence to the interaction, to the transaction, to the transformation, to outsourcing. I think this is what I think is happening today. Many things are outsourced from the organization, and how we manage a kind of complex structure with outsourcing happening in every activity. So there are 5 levels of maturity model, governance and assurance framework maturity model. One is, I think, 0 to 5 we can define. 1 is 0 is non-existent, 1 is initial, 2 is repeatable, 3 is defined, 4th is managed, 5th is optimized. I think normally we are in the 3rd level. We have to upgrade ourselves to 4th and 5th level with a lot of efforts, with innovation and creativity. So we see the kind of security framework and also the assurance model. What about dynamic environment? Are talking about customers, competitors, regulators, community, and owners working together with market forces and velocity driving them on operating, reporting, compliance, and safeguarding. And there are 5 components there involved: people, technology, processes, investment, and communication. So I think we see the kind of external independence of providers, alliances, and agents. So monitoring oversight is very important aspect. This is about ESAC model is supposed to be security assurance model. So I think in the final slide, in governance matters, past is no guarantee. The present is imperfect and future is uncertain. The failure is not when we fell down, but when we fail to get up. So cyber assurance gives us more confidence that we will be up always. Thank you very much. Together we work, achieve more. Collaboration, cooperation, and coexistence is very important aspect of working together, and everyone achieves more. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I will be in a position to answer some questions if possible.
Thank you, sir, for this wonderful, knowledgeable session. And I have a number of questions which I would now start taking up with your permission.
Yeah.
So the first question that we have is, how can we effectively implement COVID standard in an Indian organization?
Yeah, I think many Indian organizations are implemented standards, but all the standards are going to be addressing to different parts of the processes and every aspect of this, which I defined here. So we have to see how the standards are going to be customizable for the sector in which they are going to be surviving in the services sector. So we have to work on a kind of comprehensive, customizable standards or auditing processes, which are on the way now.
Thank you, sir.
Simply ISO 9000 will not work. Simply ISO
Yes, sir.
20000 will not work. Simply ISO 20000 will not work. So all the things have to be customized for the sector in which they are going to be applied. And maybe sector-specific standards have to be developed from management side.
Absolutely, sir. And the second question is related to this only. The second question is, do the standards vary depending on the business size, type of organization, etc.?
Yes, I think that's what I said. Depending upon the business sector in which they are in, the customizable standards have to be applied. The technical standards are followed normally, there's no problem. Because without compliance, you can't communicate. But management standards are one, which is also be compiled up, customizable to the sector in which they are operationable. Maybe it's a financial sector, it's an insurance sector, or maybe it's a service sector, or maybe it's a electronic sector, so e-commerce sector. So we have to see how these kind of components of this system has to be customizable to the service in which you are in. So it's that's why I talk about customizable standard, which is still not there, but I think people expertise are developed a kind of customizable standard certification processes now. I think this is what we have been demanding, the kind of things like COBIT and others to work for a customizable service-oriented structures for auditing purposes.
Yes, sir. The next question, sir, we have now Meditech zones are coming up. How are the standards being measured from time to time with respect to the operational standards?
A very interesting question because standards are evolving. The technical standards are growing very fast, but they are used. But no problems in that, except for the challenges of technology adoption. But management standards are going to be complex because there are various components involved in that, which is also customizable to sectors in which they are in. So the main aspect is human orientation in that, because without human, no service agency can exist. So the kind of things where human and human governance is very important aspect of the organization, which needs a kind of certifiable and talented persons who can be managed. I think really difficult person is the talented persons are difficult to manage because they are their own area, they are good, they are excellent, but co-working is going to be an issue, collaboration is going to be an issue. I think this is what exactly is going to be driving the challenges for the business environments.
Absolutely, sir. So one last question I have, which I would say is trying to sum up the whole thing. In present times, when businesses are moving towards cloud and big data and other such distributed technologies to reduce the overall maintenance cost, how is cyber assurance being assured in this kind of a distributed scenario?
Yeah, I think, see, the whole thing is evolving. See, earlier we talked about centralized systems. Now afterwards we talk about decentralized systems. Then we came to possibly decentralized systems. And now we are talking about distributed decentralized systems and also partly centralized systems now. I think the controls are good in the centralized system, but decentralized systems are operationally excellent. So we have to work on a balancing aspect of this kind of two issues, where centralization versus decentralization has to be balanced in an organization for infrastructure as well as assets, where we're going to be stored, where it's going to be generated, where it's going to be disseminated, where it's going to be analyzed. I think this is what exactly the kind of thing big data is going to be a big challenge for us in terms of centrally collecting the data and analyzing that, and the influences on this going to be used for decision making process. It's called computer intelligence as well as business intelligence. There is another separate lecture separately
Yes,
on that.
sir. Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much for this wonderful lecture. It was a wonderful and informative session, which I'm sure will have enlightened our participants about the essentialities and intricacies of cyber assurance in the present times. I would now request Professor M.N. Huda, sir, Director, Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute of Computer Applications and Management, to kindly present, sir, with a certificate as a token of remembrance for this wonderful session.
So thank you so much, Professor Subramaniam sir. This topic is so open that it will remain alive, and the way the technology will be used, the way information and communication technologies will be proliferated for the purpose of our day-to-day transactions, this cyber assurance will keep posing before us the challenges. So thank you so much for giving this wonderful session. This certificate is presented not only for the purpose of certification, but for the purpose of remembrance that you have delivered this wonderful and fabulous webinar to all of us. Thank you so much, Subramaniam sir. We'll meet again with some new webinars.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Oda and others for patiently hearing us. And thank you, the team, for solving some technical issues by means of balancing the technology mobile versus desktop internet connection. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Dear participants, thank you for being with us in this webinar. The feedback link for the same has already been shared in the chat window. All participants are requested to kindly click on the feedback link, submit their details carefully, and generate their own certificate for this wonderful session today. I thank all the participants. Please do not leave the meeting room. till the time you do not receive your certificate of participation in your inbox. I would once again thank our expert, Professor Subramaniam Krishnamurthy, who, despite the technical glitches, has shared his wonderful knowledge on this topic with all of us. Thank you so much, sir, once again for being a part of this session and sharing this wonderful knowledge with all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dear participants, this room is now translated